Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So, yesterday there was a really large protest in Washington, D.C. regarding the ongoing conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas. And they weren't alone in their protest. There were others in major cities all around the world. Notably, Berlin, Paris, and London had similar protests. And depending on the news agency you saw this through, some of them called these anti Semitic protests because the nature of them is requesting governments to stop sending aid to Israel for the war effort. They're people requesting ceasefires. They want all the hostages and non combatants to be pulled out of those areas. They want humanitarian aid to come through. They want, frankly, world governments to step up and sort of mediate a peace agreement. I think this is a noble thing to protest for. If you're upset with what your elected officials are doing, and I mean, aside from election seasons, there's not really too much legal methods to deal with that. You can call them up, but protesting is good for when you're upset with what your officials are doing. And when you have about 15 members of a 521 House of Representatives requesting a ceasefire, and when you have one out of 100 senators requesting a ceasefire, I think a lot of people are going to be upset about that. Now, as I stated before, some publications did call these protests anti-Semitic in nature. In fact, this morning as I was leaving my gym, I was taking my shower and I heard two guys talking about these protests, and I heard one of them say, "Well, I don't know why they would protest something like this. It's not like Israel doesn't have the right to defend itself." And I would understand if this was a defensive engagement on their part, but I think a lot of us are seeing footage from the ground of Gaza and from the ground of West Bank, and it's not seeming very defensive. You know, the article I read the other day about that was trying to target a Hamas commander and believed him to be hiding in a refugee camp in the southern portion of the Gaza Strip. So it was bombed. 400 people lost their lives in that attack. And the Hamas commander wasn't even there. So, I don't know how you can justify that level of cruelty. We funded so much weaponry, training, materials for we being the United States, by the way, just for all of their training for their military and special forces. And yet they're using the most destructive weaponry possible to take out a one person target in a crowded area. That should sicken you. That should make you want to call your representative. That should make you hate that your money is being used that way. So, I think these protests are a good thing. I do think you're going to have a lot of people who take them the wrong way, that think that this is some anti-Jewish thing or something like that, but I need y'all to look at this on a material level rather than a ethnic level or a culture level or something like that, because you have on one hand a group of people who experienced a large loss of life about a month ago. 7th of October was when this all boiled over. And since then, I know it's been in your news nonstop or your social media feeds of the retaliation, this defending themselves that people are saying the IDF in Israel is doing. But the numbers don't add up. If you take that 1,400 number, and then I'll even give you all the injuries and and the hostages that came from that as well. It's gone over that in the ongoing weeks since that attack in Palestinian loss of life. When it comes to the amount of aid that's being withheld from those people for their hospitals, for their medicine, how can you say this is about saving lives? How can you say this is about self-defense when you're not hurting combatants? It seems like the main goal is to destroy a culture and a people. Anyway, if you're going to go protest this stuff, turn your biometrics off on your phone, wear a mask, because they're going to be looking for you. They're going to find any reason to arrest you, and I just hope that we don't get a repeat of Iraq. in the post 9/11 America. It started seeming like that at first, like we were getting some inklings of it, and it's still kind of foaming up a little bit, but the scale of the protest I have seen regarding peacekeeping and like a pro-Palestine sort of taste about it, it makes me hopeful that we're not going to get just a straight up history repeats itself of, 2003. But, until we see more, it's hard to say. And I guess until then, y'all try to have a good day.